The air in the Geneva auction room was thick with anticipation, a silent tension that belied the fortunes at stake. On a pedestal encased in glass sat a small object: steel, gold, sapphire. It was a Patek Philippe Grandmaster chime, reference 6300A010. As the auctioneer's gavel fell, a new record was set: $31 million. This was not just a transaction, it was a testament. For that price, the winning bidder acquired more than a timekeeper. They acquired a universe in miniature, a mechanical symphony where tiny metal parts conspire to create a heartbeat. What makes a watch worth the price of a private jet or a masterpiece painting? The answer is not simply in its ability to tell time. Any cheap quartz watch can do that with greater accuracy. The value lies in the story, the craftsmanship, and the sheer, breathtaking complexity of its inner world. Inside that Grandmaster chime are 1,366 individual components, each finished by hand, working in concert. It is a loud, small thing, a mechanical marvel that holds the grand narrative of horology in one impossibly intricate case. This is the story of such machines and the quiet, obsessive people who gave time a face. To understand this journey is to appreciate the transformation of an idea. Time was once public, dictated by the sun or the tolling of a town clock tower. The watch brought time down to a personal scale, making it intimate and portable. It became a companion, a constant presence that measures our days in a series of controlled, rhythmic clicks. The sound of a mechanical escapement is often described as music from metal, a delicate and persistent rhythm that speaks of order in a chaotic world. This essay will journey inside the watch, exploring the evolution from clumsy, spherical timekeepers to the sophisticated titans of today. We will meet the inventors who solved immense problems with microscopic solutions and examine the complications that elevate a watch from a tool to a work of art. We will trace the path of key inventions, witness the drama of industry rivalries, and look ahead to the future of this enduring craft. Long before the wristwatch became a staple of modern attire, the concept of personal timekeeping was a novelty reserved for the wealthy. Around the year 1510, in bustling Nuremberg, locksmith and clockmaker Peter Henlein crafted one of the first portable timepieces. Large, spherical, often worn as pendants, ornate, made of brass, gilded, looked like precious ornaments more than tools. Dubbed Nuremberg eggs, symbols of status and curiosity, terribly inaccurate, often losing hours, or gaining hours in a single day. But their existence marked a profound shift. Time was no longer just on a tower. It could be carried on the body. The true leap forward arrived with a deceptively simple component: a thin, coiled spring. Mid-17th century. A scientific race. In England, Robert Hooke experimented with springs regulating a balance wheel. In the Netherlands, Christian Huygens independently developed and patented a similar system in 1675. The balance spring gave the watch a steady, rhythmic pulse, the tick-tock. It acted like a tiny mechanical heart, stabilizing the balance wheel and making portable timekeepers vastly more precise. Pocket watches became essential tools for professionals, but wristwear was still seen as unconventional, even feminine. That perception began to change with a single bespoke creation. In 1810, Abraham Louis Breguet received a commission from Caroline Bonaparte, Queen of Naples. He crafted an oval repeater watch integrated into a wristlet of hair and gold thread. Arguably the first true wristwatch, form and function evolving together. Decades later, war accelerated migration to the wrist. Soldiers in the late 19th and early 20th centuries found pocket watches impractical in battle. They strapped watches to their wrists with crude leather holders. Manufacturers noticed and began producing purpose-built wristwatches. What started as a queen's commission and a soldier's improvisation became a global standard, both tool and style. The story of the watch is the story of humanity's quest to capture, measure, and ultimately master the abstract concept of time. one beautifully engineered heartbeat at a time. Some watches do more than simply tell the hours and minutes. They track the phases of the moon, chime the time with musical tones, or measure elapsed seconds with stunning precision. One of the most enchanting is the minute repeater. At the push of a slide, the mechanism rings the time on tiny tuned gongs struck by microscopic hammers. Low tone, hour, double tone, quarter, high tone, minutes past the quarter. This is music from metal, a secret song. Another marvel, the perpetual calendar. Not a simple date window, gears, levers, cams, programmed to include Feb 29 in a leap year. It keeps the correct date, day, month, and year, often until 2100. The watch knows, remembers, and accounts for the irregular rhythm of our calendar. Perhaps the most captivating complication is the tourbillon. Breguet, 1801, made for pocket watches. A pocket watch in a waistcoat pocket. Gravity pulling on the balance and escapement. Breguet's rotating cage, 1 revolution per minute. Rotation averages out positional errors. Today, its practical benefit is debated, but its spinning, balletic motion is celebrated horological artistry. For most of watchmaking history, a watch needed daily attention. It had to be wound by hand, a ritual where the owner transferred energy into the mainspring through the crown. The dream was a watch that could power itself. The solution was the automatic or self-winding movement. This innovation centers on a simple yet brilliant concept called a rotor. As the wearer moves their arm throughout the day, the rotor pivots freely, using gravity and inertia to spin. This spinning motion winds the mainspring, storing energy and keeping the watch running continuously without the need for daily winding. This simple change made the mechanical watch an effortless daily companion. The convenience of the automatic watch was undeniable, but a new challenge emerged, combining it with another popular complication, the chronograph. In the late 1960s, a secret race was underway between several major watchmaking consortiums to create the world's first automatic chronograph movement. One group, a partnership including Heuer, Breitling, and Buren, developed the Caliber 11. Simultaneously, Zenith was working feverishly on its own integrated movement, which they called the El Primero, or the First. Though both debuted in 1969, the El Primero became legendary for its high-frequency beat, enabling it to measure time to 1/10 of a second. This era of mechanical innovation, however, was about to face an existential threat. From Japan, a new technology emerged that was cheaper, more accurate, and easier to produce: the quartz watch. Instead of a mechanical balance wheel, quartz watches use a battery to send an electrical current through a tiny, tuning fork-shaped quartz crystal. The crystal vibrates at an incredibly high and stable frequency, providing a time-keeping basis orders of magnitude more accurate than the finest mechanical movement. The quartz crisis of the 1970s and 1980s decimated the traditional Swiss watch industry as consumers flocked to these affordable and reliable new timepieces. Many historic Swiss brands went bankrupt or were sold off. But a funny thing happened. People began to miss the craft. The very, imperfection and humanity of a mechanical watch. Its sweeping second hand, its visible heartbeat, its connection to a centuries-old tradition became its saving grace. A mechanical revival began in the late 1980s, repositioning the mechanical watch not as a mere time teller, but as an object of art, luxury, and enduring craftsmanship. The history of watchmaking is not just a story of gears and springs. It is a story of visionary individuals whose genius and determination pushed the craft forward. No figure looms larger than Abraham Louis Breguet. Active in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, his contributions were so fundamental that he is often called the father of modern horology. He invented the tourbillon, perfected the self-winding movement, created the first shock protection system, the parachute. He developed a distinctive, elegant aesthetic with Breguet hands and Breguet numerals that remain influential to this day. His workshop in Paris was a hub of innovation, serving royalty and intellectuals across Europe. A century later, two men from different backgrounds would form a partnership that would define the pinnacle of luxury watchmaking. Antoine Norbert de Patek was a Polish cavalry officer and nobleman, exiled in Geneva after a failed uprising. He was a brilliant businessman with an eye for quality. In 1845, he partnered with the gifted French watchmaker Adrien Philippe. Adrien Philippe had just invented a keyless winding and setting mechanism operated through the crown. Together, Patek Philippe and Sier established a new standard for quality, finishing, and innovation. They created a brand synonymous with the very finest horological creations. Hans Wilsdorf founded Rolex in London in 1905. He wanted wristwatches that were stylish, reliable, and durable. He pursued a waterproof case and achieved the Rolex Oyster in 1926, proving it as Mercedes Gleitze crossed the English Channel. Wilsdorf linked his watches with adventurers and explorers, building a legend of indestructibility. Even in the modern era, a single individual can still revolutionize the industry. George Daniels proved this in the late 20th century. Working largely by himself, he mastered over 30 crafts to make a watch entirely by hand. Dissatisfied with the lever escapement, he developed the coaxial escapement. It ran with far less friction, improving accuracy and reducing service needs. After decades of rejection, Omega finally adopted his invention, proving individual genius can still change mechanical watchmaking. While watchmaking is steeped in tradition, it is not frozen in time. The quest for better performance, durability, efficiency continues to drive innovation, often at a microscopic level. One of the most significant modern advancements is the use of silicon for critical components like hairsprings' escapement parts. Unlike traditional steel springs, silicon is completely anti-magnetic, highly resistant to temperature changes, and does not require lubrication. High-resolution photographs reveal these parts as smooth, iridescent black forms, manufactured with extreme precision. They move with an almost frictionless grace, solving age-old problems of wear and environmental interference. Beyond new materials, watchmakers are rethinking mechanical principles themselves. A revolutionary concept is the use of compliant mechanisms. Instead of traditional assemblies with pivots, jewels, a compliant mechanism is a single, monolithic component with flexible segments that bend and flex to fulfill a function. Example, Zenith Defy Inventor. Example, Parmigiani Fleurier Senfine. This approach eliminates dozens of parts, reducing friction wear energy loss. A single silicon oscillator can replace an entire balance wheel assembly, vibrating at an ultra-high frequency for incredible accuracy. This is a radical departure from traditional design, moving from assembled parts to integrated, flexible structures. This blend of old and new is perfectly embodied in hybrid technologies. The most famous of these is Seiko's spring drive. At its heart, it is a traditional mechanical watch powered by a mainspring that unwinds to drive a gear train. However, instead of a mechanical escapement to regulate the release of power, it uses a tiny, electrically powered integrated circuit and a quartz crystal. This tri-synchro regulator acts as a frictionless brake, controlling the speed at which the gears turn with perfect quartz precision. The result is the best of both worlds, the romance of a mechanical mainspring and the flawless, perfectly smooth sweep of the second's hand. The future of horology is not a battle between tradition and technology, but a synthesis of the two. Smartwatches may handle our digital lives, but the mechanical watch continues to evolve as a vessel for human craft and ingenuity. Historical nod. Hooke and Huygens and the balance spring. Engineers now experiment with carbon composites, metallic glass fluid dynamics. Watchmakers push the boundaries of micromechanics, creating ever more resilient, beautiful, fascinating machines that celebrate the physical world in an increasingly digital age. All of this incredible work happens in small, quiet places. In a sunlit workshop in the Swiss Jura Mountains, a master watchmaker, her breath held steady, uses fine tweezers to place a screw no bigger than a grain of sand. In a sterile clean room, a high-tech machine etches a complex pattern onto a silicon wafer, creating hundreds of hairsprings at once. In a design studio, an artist sketches the subtle curve of a watch lug. In a hushed auction hall, a collector raises a paddle, connecting a chain of human acts that stretches back for centuries. Each watch is the culmination of countless choices and thousands of meticulous actions. The 21 jewels advertised in a classic watch movement are not there for decoration. They are synthetic rubies, placed at high friction points to act as durable, low-wear bearings for the spinning gears. They are small acts of care, designed to ensure the machine can outlive its owner. The $31 million Grandmaster chime is a loud and powerful symbol, but the same spirit of dedication is present in every well-made mechanical watch. They are all small, honest machines that do one thing: measure the passing of our lives with a rhythm and a soul that a digital display can never replicate. The world of watches is not without its shadows, as cautionary tales of auction house dramas like the Antiquorum saga remind us that where there is great passion and money, conflict can follow. But the core story remains one of creation. It is about the human desire to impose order on the abstract, to give a face and a voice to the relentless march of time. The pioneers of this craft were not just mechanics, they were physicists, artists, and astronomers working on a miniature scale. They taught metal how to remember the length of a month. They taught springs how to sing a song. They taught a collection of cold, inert parts how to have a life of their own, to have a heartbeat that can be felt against the skin. That is the enduring magic of the mechanical watch. Time hides in these intricate metal landscapes, in the polished gleam of a gear, the steady oscillation of a balance wheel, and the silent tension of a coiled spring. Each watch is a small heart that beats with a life given to it by human hands, counting our seconds while holding a memory of the centuries of skill it took to create it. The story of the watch is the story of people who refuse to let time simply slip away, unmeasured and unheard. In their pursuit, they created more than just an instrument. They created a way to hold a piece of eternity in a heartbeat.